On today's episode of the DeRaud-Messinger Show, we're talking Red River Rivalry recruiting, Dylan, and we make our Week 7 Texas high school football predictions. Of course, if you're a football fan, visit our work at HornSports.com and subscribe here. We'll love you forever, which is a long time, Dylan. It's a long time. But to begin, Dylan, Red River week, of course, is upon us. The Red River game is on Saturday. It features a number 3 ranked Texas versus a number 12 ranked Oklahoma. And I believe I saw the stat. It's only like the third time the two teams have met and have actually been both undefeated at that point, or at least 5-0 maybe. Maybe they've met earlier, but that is crazy. But with that being said, Texas is technically the home team this year, and that means they get recruiting privileges to invite whoever they want. I believe Oklahoma invited Anthony Hill last year, Dylan, and look how that turned out.
Mm.
It was a free pass at looking at the Longhorns. But Dylan, what does Red River Week and the game specifically mean for recruiting?
Well, it's huge, right? Because you're getting a lot of the best talent within Texas and within Oklahoma, and possibly in the surrounding region. I'm sure you'll have a few Louisiana guys coming up, Arkansas recruits. So it really is big. I wouldn't say it's a huge deciding factor, right? In the sense of like if it's a close game, both teams play really well. It's not gonna A recruit's not just gonna pick Texas because they beat Oklahoma by a field goal. But if you have a shellacking like there was last year, that can be definitely be a deciding factor, especially if recruits are kind of going off of, I don't want to say they're just going off of vibes, right? But also the direction the program is headed. And Oklahoma probably didn't leave a great taste in people's mouth last year, right? Obviously, the things that they're doing this year, you're seeing the upward trend. You're seeing the impact that Venables has had. They're still getting good recruits, plenty of blue chippers to go around here. It's not like they just fell off recruitment wise. But if they have another showing again this year against Texas, where they do not look very good. Texas dominates this game, especially going into the SEC. You don't want to be scrambling for parts going into an even bigger conference, facing better opponents. So this actually could be huge for Texas if they're able to show out yet again, really show some dominance in this matchup, given this year and last year going into the SEC. It puts Texas in a great spot. So the way I'm kind of looking at it right now is this is Oklahoma's chance to really even the footing going into a big realignment thing into the SEC. And for Texas, there's a huge opportunity to lay claim further into the whole Texas region and possibly into Oklahoma going into the SEC, where you're going to need as much talent as you're going to get.
It's interesting, Dylan, talking about the SEC. The SEC commissioner will be at the Cotton Bowl on Saturday, and I guess if you want to make a laughing matter, the Big 12 commissioner will not be at this game on Saturday, even though it's the biggest game
That's
in
a
the
lot.
country. I'd say I don't even think it's really arguable. But
This is the
Dylan,
biggest game of the year, I feel like. Like I don't.
at
This is probably
least,
bigger than Notre Dame and Ohio State. I feel like.
yeah. I mean, how this season has shaped up, at least at this current present moment in time. Of course, take a snapshot at in December, and maybe things have changed for better or for worse for both teams. But Dylan, I mean, this is the biggest sales pitch you can make to recruit. I don't know what you're talking about. You're on the biggest stage in college football, speaking of, as we're saying right now. Not only that, but you got game day there. And just there's, I don't know, Dylan, the stage, the brand of Texas, of course, shines bright in Austin, but on Red River Week, it is something else. Because even the Oklahoma fans will give you props in their hatred when they are
Listen,
saying
when I'm
stuff to you. That is showing you the power of the
yeah,
brand, is that they have such an affinity for Texas in the negative light that they will also make sure to talk about it. And Dylan, the tickets on Ticketmaster, last I checked, Devon out here checking Ticketmaster tickets. I don't
yeah,
need a ticket, so that's research right there, Dylan.
flex.
350 is the starting price. Now, if I'm a recruit, of course I'm calling up Sarkeesian, of course with periods of recruiting varying, however the communication needs to work during this time. Don't want to get any recruiting violations, Dylan. But of course I'm making some contact and saying like, hey, I am interested in Texas, a little ticket to the game wouldn't hurt your guys' odds. Um,
Yeah. And again, this is what Texas Oklahoma can offer people, right? So when I'm saying like it's not a big, I'm just saying it was like deciding factor between Oklahoma and Texas. Like this is in particular to them, it's the biggest showcase recruitment wise because you're being like, hey, if you're thinking about going to Baylor, if you're thinking about going to A&M right now, or you're thinking about TCU, you're not going to get this experience at the state fair, right? Up in Dallas. Like, you're not, this is unique to us. And this is what you get being a part of this program, especially when you see the cuts of guys running out onto the field with just the span of burnt orange and Sooner red. Like, it's a beautiful sight. I mean, they could
It is
put me in,
Christmas
right? Like,
in
it's just,
October.
why
Oh
would you not
yeah,
want to be a
I
part of
could
that?
play
Yeah.
3 snaps with the adrenaline from just running out there. Afterwards, when I see Ethan Downs on that Oklahoma defensive line, I might turn away and say, "Sark, I've had enough."
Rethink it a little bit. Yeah.
But Dylan, I mean, like I said, this is, of course, getting a guy to Austin and really showcasing the campus and DKR and the facilities. That, of course, is the main sales point. But in terms of just the sheer size and mass of the Texas brand, you have people coming from all parts of the country to watch this game. And like I said, the game day guys as well. So all the focus, all the headlines are on this game. Like Dylan said, if a recruit is kind of between Oklahoma and Texas, game probably doesn't matter too much. If it's a close game and one team loses, the recruit, likely thinks like, oh, if I was on the field, that would be a different score.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter too much unless, like Dylan said, there's a shellacking like there was last year. But for all the other schools, like Dylan mentioned, that is when it comes into play. Texas, reasonably isn't really recruiting against TCU too often. Of course, they do have cases, but like Dylan mentioned, A&M, and then Louisiana guys, the California guys, the Southeastern guys. However many can actually show up yet again because tickets are hard to come by, even on the recruiting side. That's to be determined. But just watching this game in prime time, in terms of a 11 a kick, which is prime time as you can get for a Cotton Bowl game.
Oh, yeah.
Just something beautiful about it. Dylan, there's plenty of visitors for this game too. I compiled a little list. Of course, there are many more names that I don't have on this list. 2025 five-star wide receiver DeCorian Moore out of Duncanville. Now a name to note because he is just teammates with two, not one, but two Texas pledges already in Colin Simmons and Alex January. And I can bet you're behind that they talk to him probably every chance they can get about the Longhorns just to show them up, but also try to flip them, Dylan.
And if you're watching this LSU season right now, I don't know if I'd be a little nervous if I was Brian Kelly a little bit, just in the way that the trajectory of that team's going.
And they have a big game this weekend, I believe, right? I could be wrong, but I believe LSU plays Missouri yet again.
Well, they're coming off of the Ole Miss loss, the close game last week. So
Yeah.
I don't know in particular who they're playing this week, but yeah, I mean it's the SEC. Every game's really is huge, right?
Yeah, I say trust Devon Tomahawk, so I'm going to say Missouri. I believe I heard that. So that's a big matchup for, of course, the Tigers. But DeCorian Moore, if
Yeah.
if you're in the house in Dallas, that's a hard thing to turn down, especially because Moore already visited Texas earlier this season, Dylan. So that is already 2 visits that are coming up. 2025 4-star tight end Emery Winston from Georgia is going to be in the house. 2025 4-star running back with the best nickname in high school football, DeAndre Tiger Ryden out of DeSoto, who thankfully is back for the DeSoto Eagles. He had an early season injury, and Dylan, I believe he made his return either last week or the week prior, so that's good to see. That means I can once again be a little more confident in my picks for DeSoto. Then you got the Texas commit 2024 4-star wide receiver Parker Livingstone out of Lovejoy. But really, guys, if there's a recruit in the Dallas area that is, of course, committed to Texas, they're going to be there. This game's going to serve as just a further solidification, if you will, Dylan, of their status pledging to Texas. It's definitely going to make it, the buyer's remorse, if you will. It's going to decrease a little bit after Saturday's game. Regardless of the outcome, of course, though, if there's a shellacking on either side, maybe there's a pause there. But also just targets in the Dallas area. I'm sure if there's anyone that Texas is eyeing, ranging from McKinney to Fort Worth, they're going to be in the house too, because yet again, like me, I would also be pestering Sark for some passes. But Dylan, just a huge weekend for recruiting, of course, how they compare it to everybody. But we won't bore y'all. We're going to get to our Week 7 Texas high school football picks. And speaking of boring us, Dylan, North Shore doesn't want to make anything for us exciting. It's
No.
It's kind of upsetting. And they are playing 6A matchup, number 10 Humble Summer Creek at number 2 North Shore. I'm not going to bore y'all with talk. Okay, Caleb Bailey at quarterback and cornerback Devon Sanchez, my boy, have been balling. I'm not picking against this team, Dylan, until they lose. So it's going to be a while.
Yeah, so that's the tough part, right? They're turning any team like and Sheldon C. King was coming into that ranked, right? And they got beat 42-6 after I've been hyping up the North Shore offense and defense and the way they've been playing. They're still only allowing 7.8 points. Again, they scored 42 last week, which is right around their average. Caleb Bailey and this offense has been running over people. Now, this Humble Summer Creek, Devon, I will point some things in their favor. They do have a defense that's only allowing 10 points per game, and they were up 35-3 against Humble High last week. So this is a good team led by QB Blake Thomas. But again, this is North Shore we're talking about. Until I see a crack in that armor, I'm not going to be picking against them. If Humble Creek can get out of this just by losing, by 7 or something going into North Shore, that'll be huge. But I think the streak continues here for North Shore. Now, at their next one, we have 5A D1, number 2 Longview, Devon, at number 10 Forney. This is interesting because I believe Forney is undefeated. They have posted 3 straight shutouts this season, and they've only allowed 6.2 points per game on defense. And they're actually coming off a pretty good win against Lufkin, winning 42-21. But all of their other games, especially when it comes to non-district play, Devon, haven't been anything, right? So the biggest knock against them is who they've played, right? And they haven't played very many good teams. And on the other side for Longview, they had the season opening loss on the road to McKinney, but now they've won 4 straight and they're averaging 42.5 points on offense. So that's the best offense that Forney has seen to date this season. And they're led by OU commit running back Taylor Tatum, Devon. So this Longview team, it's going to show what Forney is made out of, but I got to side with Longview in this one.
Your boys, I must add. There are reasons for Dylan to pick Longview.
No bias involved in my picks.
The Oklahoma commit Taylor Tatum does lead those Lobos out on the field. And Dylan, I knew you were going to mention his name, so I decided to bring up some stats so I can add something to this conversation.
Oh, no.
He's averaging 130 yards per game on the ground with 2 touchdowns per. Now, of course, that's solid production, but if you're going to want to beat this Forney team, you're going to have to put up some more points, especially with the combo of, we got senior quarterback Kyle Crawford and sophomore running back Javian Osborne. They're going to look to keep the pace with Tatum. But as you said, Longview's only lost this season. Of course, they have lost, but it is to a solid McKinney team that has really just flourished, especially on defense. If you've seen that defensive crew, they got a couple linebackers that are going to Power 5 schools, plus safety talent. So I can't really blame them there. And McKinney's, is a nice 6A school. So I'm going with Longview here. The next game we have, my boys, 4A D2. Number 3, Texarkana Pleasant Grove at number 9, Gilmer. Now, Dylan, I'm not going to lie. Pleasant Grove, it might have been 3 years ago, but they've burned me. So I'm a burn victim. I'm staying away from the hot plate of Pleasant Grove. But I will be picking them in this matchup. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. I will stick to it. Pleasant Grove quarterback Akari Johnson, an Arkansas commit, and Jalen Boardley have been phenomenal for head coach Josh Gibson's team. The problem here for Pleasant Grove is they are playing one of the more premier teams at this level of high school football in Gilmer. Of course, Gilmer maybe is not as dominant per se as they were the past couple of seasons, but ranked number 9 is no slouch and a home game. Dylan, this could be an upset alert, but I'm going to stay away from it. I'm touching the hot plate this week.
Yeah, I mean, I know we joke about Texarkana Pleasant Grove being your boys, Devon. You can, on the flip side, be like, hey, I was right about, Pleasant Grove. I was just 3 years early, right? So it's finally coming to fruition. This is actually a really good team this year. They're scoring 38 points per game and only allowed 12.8 points per game on defense. So they've looked really solid this year. Gilmer, on the other hand, the 3-2, they're bouncing back now with, I believe, winning 3 in a row. They're coming off an 82-62 win over Prosper Walnut Grove, Devon. So they're getting better, but it's that defense I worry about because they're allowing 50 points per game, right? So Pleasant Grove's going to be able to move the ball on them, and they have a better defense than Gilmer for their offense to face, right? So I'm going to be going with Pleasant Grove. There's two ways this could go. Gilmer starts bouncing back, getting some good wins on their belt, or this is the season where we're finally starting to see Gilmer tail off a little bit.
And now we have our lightning round, of course, ranked matchups as always. The first game being number 8. Oh boy, Bells, Dylan, making their way up those standings. Number 8, Bells in the 3A D2 level at number 1 Gunter. I'm not going to be a crazy man and pick against the number 1 team. I have Gunter.
I think the buck stops here for Bells. I'm going to be going with Gunter at home. Next we have 1A D1, number 8, Devon. I'm going to just mispronounce his name possibly, but Akia?
Okay.
Yeah,
I
number
won't
3,
give you
Abbott.
any confirmation there.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to be going with Abbott at home.
You know, Dylan, I didn't want to give you confirmation because
Akila.
Aquila.
Yeah,
I'm picking Abbott though. I'm sorry, it's too fun of a name to avoid. Next game we have, in the last game, 1A D2, number 6 Richland Springs at number 4 Cherokee. Now I was very tempted to pick Cherokee, but Richland Springs has bounced back after losing their head coach, I believe a couple seasons ago. I think it stemmed from UIL sanctions. They did not want to keep him on board. I don't think there's anything crazy doing, but it is funny that UIL is also interfering at the 1A level. Rest in peace, interscholastic teams. But with that being said, I have Richland Springs, more returning talent, and I'm going to pick them on the road here.
On the comment of 1A Division II teams, Devin, I think this is a good thing. They're getting more recognition. There's more oversight. That means there's more of a spotlight on them. I see this as a good thing. Get in trouble more. But I will be going with Cherokee at home.
I think I just lost a brain cell. And the last thing we have to say is don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. It's greatly appreciated. Check us out at HornSports.com and let us know, A, who you're looking forward to seeing at Red River. Maybe a recruit is on your mind. And also, of course, let us know which high school game you'll be watching this weekend. Thanks, and have a great rest of your day.